Hello, and welcome to episode number 21 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast, presented by Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio. I am esports and video gaming insider Jason Fanelli, and folks, the podcast is old enough to drink. Crack yourself a cold one. It is episode number 21, and we are going all in on what will be a huge week for video games next week. Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5 are on the horizon, and this episode will be your deep dive into everything that those systems can do, the games you'll be able to play day one, and how you'll be able to pick it up if you haven't done so already via pre-order. But before we get into all that, let's talk about the 6 in 60 seconds. The Philadelphia Fusion have signed main tank Mano from the New York Excelsior, with free agency still ongoing. This is the first signing the Fusion have made since free agency began. The League of Legends Worlds 2020 ended with Damwon Gaming defeated Suning to becoming the 2020 World Champions. Elsewhere, USA Basketball has announced 30 players will be trying out for a 7-player Team USA NBA 2K roster debuting in December. Also, Nintendo has released their sales figures for the third quarter of 2020. 12.53 Switches were moved between April and September, making 68.3 million lifetime, with Animal Crossing selling 26 million units since it launched in March. Bethesda's Todd Howard confirms that Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6 will be day one additions to Xbox Game Pass when they launch. And finally, the first downloadable pack for WWE Battlegrounds includes The Ultimate Warrior, Eddie Guerrero, Goldberg, and more. Those were your 6 in 60 seconds. Yes, folks, that was it. That was the big news for the week. Love that signing of Mano for the Fusion. I like his main tank play. I'm very excited to see what he can do on this team. And a major congratulations to Damwon Gaming in Korea for taking Worlds 2020. What a great tournament that was. The first time I really ever dove in to League of Legends, and I am very happy I did so. Looking forward to a full season of it come next year, whenever the season starts. So like I said at the top of the show, tonight is going to be a focus on both of the brand new consoles hitting shelves next week. We are starting tonight with the PlayStation 5. It does come out 2 days later than the Xbox Series X. But when I thought about how I wanted to do this, I landed on alphabetically. So PlayStation P is before Xbox X, PlayStation 5. Here we go. Now, PlayStation should be a very common name to anyone who has ever played a video game ever. It's been around since the mid-90s, after Nintendo and Sony could not come to an agreement on a disc-based console partnership. Sony said, okay, we'll make our own thing, and the rest is history. PlayStation 2 is the highest-selling console of all time, as we spoke about last week when the PS2 turned 20. And the 5th iteration of the PlayStation is less than a week away, coming November the 12th in 2 separate versions. For $499.99, you will get the PlayStation 5 with a disc drive. So if you're the kind of person that likes physical games as opposed to just playing digital, you would grab that for $499. Or if all digital is cool for you and you don't want that disc drive attached to the side, the $399 all digital edition is the one you should be looking for. This also comes with a brand new controller format called the DualSense, which in the early going sounds like it is an amazing piece of technology. The official reviews have not come out yet for the PlayStation 5, but everything I've seen on Twitter from fellow writers and people who are reviewing the system, I'm not sure when the embargo breaks, have said that the DualSense controller is one of the best gaming controllers they have ever used, and they are very, very excited for what is to come in the lifetime of the PlayStation 5 with this controller at the helm. That is very exciting. I love new takes on controllers. I love when companies try something different. Doesn't always work, but when it does, it's gangbusters. Looking at you, Wii, not so much the Wii U. The Switch, the little Joy-Cons are great. I do use the Pro Controller as well, but the Wii Remote is probably the most successful iteration and what that did for motion-based gaming. The Switch is right, the Joy-Cons are right up there too. PlayStation had its own version with the Move, which were fine, but I'm thinking that this DualSense is going to end up being one of the biggest innovations outside of the consoles themselves in this new generation. So the PlayStation 5, I'm on the PlayStation 5's website right here. PlayStation 5 is boasting a custom CPU, GPU, and solid-state drive with an integrated I/O that rewrites the rules of what a PlayStation console can do. Now, this is something they've been hyping since back in February when the system's lead architect for Sony, named Mark Cerny, gave a keynote speech at what was supposed to be his keynote speech for the Game Developers Conference that was canceled due to COVID. But he gave it online on YouTube for everyone to watch. It's a fascinating watch if you like getting into the deep nitty-gritty of the tech of these consoles. And he spoke about the solid-state drive and this integrated I/O system where basically things can be loaded faster than any system has ever been able to load things before. With the power of the state drive mixed with that integration and the way that it's integrated into the system, it allows creators to pull data from the solid-state drive faster than ever. They can design the games that way, and it makes for some really innovative potential as far as developing games for this console is concerned. A great example of what they're talking about is if you go back and look at the gameplay trailer for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart from Gamescom, I believe, in August. It was the anchor of that show, the last thing shown at that show, when Ratchet is using the Rift device so he can basically pull himself through a rift and appear somewhere else on the map instantaneously with no load time at all and no real effect on the gameplay or its frame rate or anything like that. It was a fascinating piece of video to watch, and I highly recommend you check it out. Especially if you're interested in a PS5 in the early going. Now, Ratchet & Clank is not a launch title. We will have to wait until 2021 to see what that game is like in full. But that little tease is a great showcase of what is apparently possible with this PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 also supports ray tracing, which is a graphical technology that creates individually simulated rays of light. It's not just like one big sunbeam falling onto a scene. Each individual ray of light is simulated, which creates more true-to-life shadows and reflections. So it gives everything a little more of a natural, realistic look as you're playing through the games. Obviously, it supports native 4K gaming. As I understand it, this week it has come out that it will support either 1080p or 4K. It will not support the 1440p middle ground. If that is something that bothers you, maybe something you need to think about. But it will go with full 4K. If you have a 4K TV, it'll play PS5 and the older PS4 games with no issue. It does support 120 frames per second. If you have the 120 hertz output on your 4K display, you can play your games moving as fast as the eye can see, or it looks like you're in the room or in this scenario with them. It does support HDR technology, which creates the vibrant and lifelike range of colors that some games really feature. I'm trying to think of one that might have put this into view that we've seen so far. Probably Demon's Souls would be a good example. Miles Morales' Urban Landscapes are a good example too. And then it does support 8K output, so you can play. This is one of the first consoles that you can play on your 4320p resolution display, 4320 display, which is the newest and highest display that there is now. So you have a brand new TV, top of the line, you can get a PS5 and have no issue. As I was saying earlier, there are two different versions of the PS5 console. The major difference is one only goes digital. It has no disk drive. It is only for downloading games to the internal memory or any external hard drive that you add to it. The console features backward compatibility, which they cannot say it supports all PS4 games because it doesn't. However, it supports the vast majority of PS4 games. If you're playing a PS4 game on PS5, the chances that you have one that will not be playable are very, very slim. In fact, if I remember the list that came out of what games were not playable on PS5, I think it was 6 or 7. That's it. Very, very low amount of games that will not work on the PS5. So if you have a bunch of PS4 discs, you should be in no danger. The PlayStation 5 gives publishers the ability to let players upgrade their PS4 games to PS5 games with no issue. So if you own a game on PS4 and it also comes out on PS5, depending on the company that's making the game, you can upgrade it no extra cost. I know that Cyberpunk is doing that. I know that Assassin's Creed Valhalla is doing that. I believe that Spider-Man Miles Morales is doing that with that game, but not with Spider-Man Remastered because Spider-Man is already on PS4. And there is PlayStation VR integration. If you own a PlayStation VR headset, you can integrate it into the PS5. You just need an extra adapter, which you can request online at PlayStation.com/PS5 for no extra cost. You just press the blue button, put in your information. You'll need the serial number off of the converter, and then you are good to go. So that is the console itself. Let's move on right now to a list of the launch games that will be coming out, the games that will be available when you plug in your console for the first time on Thursday, November the 12th. So, there are 5 games that are PS5 exclusives, first-party games coming to the PlayStation 5 at launch. They are Astro's Playroom, which is a follow-up to the PlayStation 4 VR title, Astrobot Rescue Mission, and is preloaded onto every PlayStation 5 console that there is. So that'll be there right when you turn the console on for the first time. Demon's Souls, which is a remake of a 2009 cult classic. If you play this game, you're going to die a lot, so be ready for it. But Demon's Souls is a launch title next week. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, as I mentioned earlier, will be a launch title, as will Spider-Man Remastered, which is a remastering of the 2018 Spider-Man game that came for PS4. And finally, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which is a giant platforming game starring Sackboy from Little Big Planet, meant to be a cheery and light little fun game for the kids, coming from the PlayStation's first-party studios. So those are the 5 games that are coming from Sony and their studios themselves. If we're talking about games that are made by third-party developers, whether they are small indies or large, big major companies, AAA companies, the following list is a list of everything that will be playable on day one on PlayStation 5, and if it has an upgrade from the previous version, I will make that clear. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, yes, can be upgraded for free. Borderlands 3, yes, can be upgraded for free. Bug Snacks from Young Horses, the developer of Octodad, can be upgraded for free. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, if you buy the PS4 version when you upgrade to PS5, I believe it looks like there is a $10 charge there, so be ready for that. Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, upgradable if it's on PS4. I think it might be just PS5 and Xbox Series X only. Destiny 2 Beyond Light, upgradable from PS4 for free, as is Dirt 5 and Fortnite. Godfall, which is a multiplayer hack-and-slash action game that is exclusive to PlayStation for the first 6 months. That might be one that's falling under the radar, but one that you should definitely look into. That interests me every time I see it. Just Dance 2021. Not quite sure if that's upgradable from PS4, but it will be coming. Man Eater, the shark game that we were talking about back in the summertime, that is upgraded for free. Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate is upgraded for free. If you get it on PS4, you can upgrade for free. NBA 2K21 is the same thing, but only if you bought the Mamba Forever Edition on PlayStation 4. No Man's Sky is a free update. Observer System Redux, I don't think that version is on PS4, so you don't have to worry about that. Planet Coaster Console Edition, a roller coaster building simulation game, is upgraded for free if you buy it on PS4. The Pathless is upgradable for free if you buy it on PS4. Warhammer Chaos Bane Slayer Edition does not have an upgrade because I don't believe it's on PS4 at all. And then Watch Dogs Legion is upgradable for free with a purchase with a move from PS4 to PS5. Now, there is also the PlayStation Plus collection to consider. These are games that were hot on PlayStation 4 and will be coming to PlayStation 5 at launch for people who own PlayStation Plus, the subscription service, and will be upgraded to the standards of the PS5, so they will look better and play a little better from the get-go. And they are Battlefield 1, Batman Arkham Knight, Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, God of War, Infamous Second Son, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat X or 10, Persona 5, Ratchet & Clank, the PS4 self-made, like soft reboot sort of game, Resident Evil 7, The Last of Us Remastered, not 2, remastered, the first one remastered, The Last Guardian, Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and Until Dawn. So plenty of things to play on the PlayStation 5 right at launch. And then, after that, I would highly recommend that you watch the 11-minute video of the user interface that they put out last week or the week before. It's a state of play where they just go through the menus and the look of the PS5 when you turn it on, the things that you see, the things that you can do, the trophy tracking, the hint thing. It's an interesting little deep dive into what's actually going to happen with this console right when you first turn it on. It really excited me as to what the potential of this console could be, and I think that might do the same for you. So that is the PlayStation 5. Definitely recommend it if you're a Sony fan. If you're a PlayStation fan, you will not go wrong. Again, the official reviews are not out yet, but I understand that they will be very good based on things that I'm hearing. Again, this is recorded Thursday night, so if the embargo for those reviews is Friday the 6th at any amount of time, I'm going to sound like a dingus on the radio on Saturday. But as of when I'm sitting here right now, those reviews are not out yet. So, PlayStation 5, there it is. If that's what you're getting, let me know at Big Man Fanelli on Twitter. Let me know what games you're getting from the jump. If I could recommend which ones to get. If I was getting the PS5 on Thursday, I sadly am not. But if I was, I would be going Demon's Souls, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Sackboy: A Big Adventure for something for me and the kids to play, Bug Snacks for the same reason. In fact, your boy might be reviewing Bug Snacks come Monday, so keep an eye out for that at Big Man Fanelli on Twitter. And then Godfall. If you want something brand new, next gen, Godfall would be my choice. So those are my 5 recommendations for day one purchases with your PS5. Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, Bug Snacks, Sackboy: A Big Adventure, and Godfall. Now, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are not the only things coming out this week. Obviously, they are the big ones, so we're focusing on those. But there's still one other game that you should know about coming this week. So, get out that glass and have yourself ready for the small taste of what's on tap. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered, a remastering of the wildly popular Need for Speed Remastered from the PS3 360 area back in 2010, is launching on November the 6th. So today, if you're listening to the live podcast, or yesterday, if you're listening on the radio for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. and coming November 13th for the Nintendo Switch. So if Hot Pursuit from 2010 was one of your favorite Need for Speed games, you are back in the driver's seat as of today. Feel free to check that out at your leisure, but everything else is new console. So as far as not new hardware, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit is the only thing that's on tap for you. Yep, there it is. That's what's on tap other than what we're talking about here tonight. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. If that was something you really liked back in the day, get on it. Get on that remaster. It's out today. Whenever you're listening to this, you can get it right now for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. But now moving on to the second major console release of the week, but the first one on the calendar, and that is the Xbox Series X, coming to you on November the 10th. That is Tuesday of next week. Xbox's latest console seems to be teasing the more powerful console of the two. As far as strictly raw, under-the-hood power, Xbox Series X has a slight edge on the PlayStation 5. One of the measurements they use as far as graphic processing unit, or GPU, is teraflops. Teraflops is a acronym or shorthand term for a unit of computing speed equal to 1 million, or 10 to the 12th power, floating point operations per second, or a flop. This boasts 12 teraflops, which is the fastest console ever. So 12 million floating point operations per second. Yes, it is over my head as well. But suffice to say that is one of the biggest selling points of this console, is how powerful it actually is. And that is because of its custom-made AMD Zen 2 and RDNA 2 architectures, DirectX ray tracing, which we spoke about before with the PlayStation 5, another internal solid-state drive, so data gets from the hard drive to the processing units faster. This one also incorporates 3D spatial sound, which is supposed to make your game sound like they're next gen, not just the way they did before. So this one has the raw power. It also has the benefit of services. So Xbox announced a little while ago that there will be something called Smart Delivery. And if someone opts in, not unlike on the PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, if someone opts in and they buy the Xbox One version of a game, they will get the Xbox Series X version at no additional cost. Cyberpunk 2077 is doing that. Assassin's Creed Valhalla is doing that. A couple of the third-party games are doing that. And a couple of games that are already out now for Xbox One are doing it. Gears 5, Battletoads, Halo Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, so on and so forth. Fully backwards compatible with everything that can be played on Xbox One right now. So that includes the Xbox One games, the Xbox 360 games, and the original Xbox games can all be played on the Series X with no issue. So you have just as much to play right now as you do before the console even comes out. This Xbox Series X also boasts up to 120 frames per second, or FPS, with visual pop of HDR and true-to-life native 4K resolution, so you can play your games in full 4K just like you can with the PlayStation 5. The Xbox Velocity architecture puts speed at your fingertips with the 1 terabyte custom solid-state drive and CPU, so you can go from 0 to 60 and up to 120 frames per second. Now, that's off of their official website. That's why it sounds official. So another big feature of this console that Xbox has been touting is called the Quick Resume feature. And what that is you can start a game, you can decide that you want to play another game, say you're in a big marathon session, and you want to quit this game and go to a different game. You go into the menu, you pick that different game, you start that one, and then you decide, you know what? Kind of should have finished what I was doing before I got off the other game. Let's go back to it. You go into the menu, you go back to the previous game, and you are, within 30 seconds, if not less, right back where you left off in the previous game. No hiccups, no issues, nothing like that. You're right back where you were, exactly at the point where you were. So if you paused, you're still at the pause menu. If you're in the middle of an action, you're still performing that action. You are right back in the action from where you left off. That is a huge deal, too, that Quick Resume. A big part of what makes this so appealing for the reviewers, which we'll get into in a little while. Series X reviews coming out earlier today on Thursday. I am recording this at Thursday night. So let's talk about the Instant Library, and that is part of what is probably one of the biggest selling points for this console, and that is Xbox Game Pass. Now, I have talked about Xbox Game Pass a lot here on Cheesesteaks and Controllers. If you're not familiar with it, Xbox Game Pass is a subscription-based service where you have access to 100 downloadable Xbox games that change regularly. Some are added, some are removed. I think every 30 days there's a new change made or something like that. I don't know exactly what the the interval is. Sorry, it's election week. That's been weighing on me. But you get, if you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber, particularly Ultimate, which we'll get into in a second, you have all these games right out of the gate. Now, on launch day, it's also adding EA Play, which is essentially EA's entire library of games, minus like the brand new sports games, that you can also download and play at no extra charge. So Xbox Game Pass, EA Play with their entire lineup of games, save for the newer ones, all included in this $9.99 service. Now, if you went to Game Pass Ultimate for $14.99, you would get all of that. You would get access to online, so you wouldn't have to pay $60 a month for gold anymore. And then you would get Xbox Game Pass on PC. If you ever built yourself a PC-capable computer, you would get access to that Instant Library too. So this is the big selling point of this console, this service, this Game Pass. The subscription-based model seems to be working for them, and they really, really, really want to get it in more people's hands as soon as possible. That is a reason, I think, that they were comfortable with delaying what was supposed to be the anchor of this console going into its first holiday season, and that was Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite was delayed into 2021 after it debuted for the first time back in July to have more work done on it. And it has created a bit of a gaping hole for the Xbox in what I think is the Xbox Series X's biggest weakness, and that seems to be the case in the reviews I have read. The lack of games that take full advantage of its architecture and its hardware. The games that are available are amazing. People are saying they run amazing on Series X, but there is no Halo. There is no Fable yet. There is no major first-party game from Xbox coming to the console at launch that would entice someone to pick it up, whereas PlayStation 5 has Demon's Souls and Spider-Man Miles Morales, and for the family-oriented crowd, Sackboy: A Big Adventure. That big first-party launch title, exclusive title to the Series X, is missing. It's buffered, it's made up for, but it is missing. And if there are certain franchises that you care about more than others, your Halos, your Fables, your Gears of Wars, Gears 5 is there and enhanced, but there's no new one, then maybe you hold off. Maybe it's not time for you to get an Xbox yet. Just like with PlayStation, if the games that are coming out initially don't tickle your fancy, or you don't mind playing them on PS4, then do that. Play them on PS4. I won't be able to play Demon's Souls. That's the only one you're missing out on, but otherwise you're fine. For me, I am getting the Series X at launch. Unfortunately, I was not able to get both. I had to choose one, and a good friend of mine was not able to procure a pre-order for the PlayStation 5. So rather than just canceling my pre-order on that outright, I let him give me the money for it, and he will be getting it when it comes out next Thursday. I am, however, getting the Series X. And I'm getting the Series X because I feel like the Game Pass and EA Play is too lucrative to pass up. I feel like the power of the console is something I would like to experience first, since I had a choice. And I'm already playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla on Xbox One, and I would like to see that on Series X. That's a pretty important part of it too. So Xbox Series X is what I'm picking up. Before we, I cannot recommend either console more than the other at the moment. I haven't played either of them. So let's let the reviews speak for themselves. I have 2 reviews here, and then we'll get into what's coming out for the console next week. So first I have IGN's console, which in their final verdict at the bottom here says, "We can only assume that the Xbox Series X will wow us with new and spectacular next-gen games eventually, but there isn't much to judge it on right now. In the meantime, no matter what current games you throw at it, your loading times will be drastically cut, your frame rates will be smoother, and your resolutions will be higher. This bold and minimalistically designed box is quiet, compact for both the power it packs, and especially how it compares to the PS5, capable, and loaded with convenience features like instantly resuming and cycling between any of your recent played games. Compared directly to the PlayStation 5, it flat out gives you more power for the same price. It's going to be a joy to see what developers actually do with it in the coming years." And IGN scored it a 8 out of 10, saying that it's a quiet, compact, laser-targeted games machine that should make 4K 60 frames per second gaming the wonderful new norm, but it currently lacks must-have games. Game Informer also reviewed it. Brian Shea over at Game Informer took a look at it. When talking about the performance, he talks about another big issue for both systems. This is not just a Xbox issue, not a PS5 issue. This is a both issue, saying that they contain too little storage. The Xbox Series X features a 1 terabyte solid-state drive, while the Series S possesses a paltry 512. The plus side to the Series S low storage is that games downloaded to the system do not include 4K textures, so the files are smaller, but you're going to be deleting games off of the storage without an external storage upgrade for a while. That's just how it is. That's on both consoles, so it really negates when it comes to comparing the 2 consoles together. It's a problem on both, so I'm not really going to get into that there. But at the end of the Game Informer, which they gave a B+ to for this brand new console, they call it. They say it introduces a superb quality of life improvements like quick resume and the reduced load times over Xbox One or One X, but do not expect a markedly different or revolutionary leap forward when you first power it on. If you're simply looking for the best place to play your library of past, present, and future, look no further than Xbox Series X. So, it sounds like it is the more powerful console. It will let you mitigate what you have right now in your games library, but it does not have that killer app that is sorely missing to get people to upgrade just to play that singular game. But speaking of the games that it does have, I will wrap up this section of the podcast with this. The following are all the games that will be available on Xbox Series X on launch day, November 10th. And these include games that are free to upgrade with the Smart Delivery program. So there's Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Battletoads, Borderlands 3, Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Dirt 5, Enlisted, Evergate, Forza Horizon 4, Gears 5, Gears Tactics, Maneater, Manifold Garden, which is a small puzzler, NBA 2K21, No Man's Sky, Observer System Redux, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Planet Coaster Console Edition, Rogue Company, Sea of Thieves, Tell Me Why, Warhammer, Chaos Bane, Watch Dogs Legion, and Yakuza Like a Dragon, and Yes, Your Grace. That is what is available right when the consoles come out, when the Xbox comes out on November the 10th, and then 3 days later for both PS5 and Xbox Series X is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Big one to end the new console week, and definitely one that you should keep on your radar for the time being. But that is the Xbox Series X in a nutshell. Doesn't have that killer app, like I've said a couple times before, but man, does it look good. Is it a powerful console, and is it definitely one I am excited to tinker with when the time comes. As far as games to get, if you're a brand new Xbox player, the answer is Xbox Game Pass, so you can get all of their first-party games immediately. You have Gears 5, you have Ori Will of the Wisps, you have Sea of Thieves, you have Gears 5 and Tactics, you have Forza Horizon 4, Battletoads, already on Xbox Game Pass, plus Halo, plus all those other games. But games that would not be included in that, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Planet Coaster Console Edition for something different, and then Watch Dogs Legion, which I reviewed over at mmorpg.com. Game is very fun, very unique system to it, works like a dream, and I definitely recommend that if you were looking for a new sort of adventure in your gaming. So there it is, Xbox Series X, November the 10th, PlayStation 5, November the 12th. It is new console season. It only comes around every 7 or 8 years or so. Very exciting time for the gaming industry. And let me know at Big Man Fanelli on Twitter what you are getting and what you are playing. And now it's time to move on to the final segment of the night. Let's get political. I promise, not offensive, just political, in the speed run. For the speed run tonight, to commemorate the 2020 election, which as of my recording at 10:31 p.m. on Thursday night, November the 5th, is still happening, I wanted to talk about a couple of famous video game politicians. Now, these are not actual politicians that advocate for video games. I'm not sure that those even exist yet. I am talking, although I guess AOC would be one of those after doing her Twitch stream, but that's the only one I can think of. I'm talking about politicians that appeared in video games. These are people who run governments all over the world, not necessarily just here in America, and they feature heavily in the games that they are in, or they are brief cameos that stand the test of time as some of the best cameos in video games ever. So the first one is from Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, which is a weird name to say, I know that. This was a spin-off of the Metal Gear Solid franchise that came out in 2013, and the final boss, slight spoilers for a 7-year-old game, of that was a senator, a U.S. senator named Stephen Armstrong, who uses his influence to kidnap and train orphan children from third world countries, third world countries, in a hope to kickstart the war economy in this fictional universe and increase America's financial and military position on a global scale. Now, that's pretty sick, and beating the crap out of him at the end of the game is very fascinating. But he has a lot of meme-worthy quotes, and he's one of the most over-the-top final bosses you will ever fight. And to think he's just some beefed-up senator filled with little nanomachines that give him super strength and endurance. He's also basically has the same motivations as George Sears from the Metal Gear Solid universe, Metal Gear Solid 2, also known as Solidus Snake, but George Sears, to me, is a more effective villain, all in all. But Armstrong gets the nod here because he's just a giant meme at this point. He's a big goofball, and defeating him in this game is very, very, very satisfying. So if you have not played Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, I do recommend that. Very fun hack-and-slash game set in the Metal Gear Solid universe, and you can beat up a senator at the end of it. Next one is a classic. We are going back in the archives for this one. He is the mayor of Metro City, and he has the greatest facial hair in all of video games, and you can quote me on that. His name is Mayor Mike Hagar from Final Fight. Now, Final Fight was an old arcade side-scrolling beat-em-up from back in the day. I can still hear that machine as part of the cacophony of noise I would hear when I walk into the McDade Mall arcade in Delaware County as a child. Mike Hagar is the big, burly, former professional wrestler turned politician, a la Jesse Ventura, but before Jesse Ventura did it. He has big power slams, he has giant punches, he uses pipes, he uses barrels, he has all kinds of different moves. He's a big, burly, powerful guy. Gives Zangief from Street Fighter a run for his money as far as like power bombs and pile drivers are concerned. A pro wrestler turned mayor who still kicks ass from time to time. Mike Hagar is the greatest, and I would like to vote for Mayor Mike Hagar for president of the United States. I wish someone like him was real. He would set us all straight. Mike Hagar for president in 2024. You heard it right here first. This next one might surprise a few people. They would not think of this person as a politician, but technically, in the lore of his game, that's exactly what he is, and that is the final boss of Street Fighter II and an overarching villain in the Street Fighter universe, M. Bison. M. Bison is a self-appointed dictator in the story of the Street Fighter games. He rules a fictional Far Eastern country called Mriganka, but his criminal influence spreads throughout the world through Shadaloo, his evil organization. He uses Psycho Power, that purple flame that surrounds his hands and feet, to enhance his abilities. He's got the Psycho Crusher, he's got the flip kick, he's got the slide, he's got all those moves that you could not counter when you were playing Street Fighter 2 in the arcades as a wee lad or lass. He is a super powerful guy. I've been playing Street Fighter for basically my entire gaming life, so M. Bison is right up there in my head. And then you find out that he's a politician who can clone and revive himself whenever he dies. So he's a politician. He's a despot, dictator politician that never goes away. Talk about a nightmare. That is a scary thought, but luckily he is a fictional character in a video game, so we don't have to worry about that. M. Bison, politician. How about those apples? This next entry is actually two. I'm cheating here a little bit, but they are both presidents of either a company or a country in the Final Fantasy franchise, but I feel I should mention both of them together because they are equally important to the games that they come from. The first one is Rufus Shinra. He is the president of the Shinra Electric Power Company, takes it over from his father, who was killed early in Final Fantasy VII. We got to see him again this year in Final Fantasy VII Remake, looking like a total badass, I might add. If you have not played Final Fantasy VII Remake yet, I suggest you do so right now. That game is fantastic. But Rufus takes right after his father's footsteps. His father is a ruthless businessman trying to get into a place called the Promised Land, basically the Garden of Eden of Final Fantasy VII, that's supposed to be rich in energy that they want to sell and increase their wealth. So he's an evil man, but he's also a very cool badass and deserves to be on your radar when you're talking about politicians in video games. And the other one is a president, but on the flip side, he is a cool, calm, collected visionary for his country of Estar, and that is Laguna from Final Fantasy VIII, my favorite Final Fantasy of all time. He is a loyal soldier of the army of the fictional country of Galbadia before becoming the president of Estar. He is able to liberate the city from an evil sorceress named Adele and becomes president. He's also a total goofball that we follow throughout the story of Final Fantasy VIII through flashbacks and visions and memories that are shared between he and the main character. Very weird when I explain it like this, but Laguna is one of my favorite characters in video games of all time. He's just a goofy but loyal character. He's got one of the best battle theme songs ever. You're probably hearing it right now. But underneath, it's called The Man with the Machine Gun. Great song. He's great. Final Fantasy VIII is great, and everybody should play it. It should get more praise and more press for how great it actually is. And if they ever wanted to remake Final Fantasy VIII the way they are making Final Fantasy VII, I am on board. Sign me up. But that's another story. And then finally, the last video game politician we're going to talk about today is actually more of a cameo. He doesn't really star in any video games. He doesn't really do anything specific in a video game. He just, takes the court and slams flaming basketballs through hoops. And that is Bill Clinton, our 42nd president, who found himself in NBA Jam. Back in the good old days, you could unlock him as a secret character, and he could play on any team that you wanted. There was also a separate cameo where Hillary Clinton showed up as well. But Bill Clinton it just played NBA Jam with Bill Clinton's face, and he could twirl all around and do all the dunks and shoot all the really long baskets. But you could do it as the president of the United States at the time, Bill Clinton. Just a goofy cameo, but one that is definitely needs to be considered anytime you're talking about politicians in video games, because it's iconic. It's whenever somebody talks about NBA Jam for an extended period of time, eventually their minds are going to come to when you could play as Bill Clinton in NBA Jam. Very, very cool Easter egg. Great idea by the developers of NBA Jam, and one that we will be talking about for as long as gaming persists. Now, there are some other cameos and some other ones to talk about. We could talk about when the Call of Duty Black Ops zombie mode had a campaign called 5, where you played as JFK, Richard Nixon, Fidel Castro, or U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara. We could talk about how President Ronald Reagan appears as President Ronnie, a caricature of himself, in the game Bad Dudes for the NES, where he says, "Hey, dudes, thanks for rescuing me. Let's go get a burger." That's another big meme from the NES days. We could talk about Andrew Ryan from BioShock, who is so tired of politics, he decides to build a city underwater and become the leader of it, therefore, becoming his own worst enemy. And the list goes on and on and on. There's actually a lot of politicians that are represented in video games, more than you would expect. It's an interesting research when you go and do that. I had a couple websites that I looked at to make this list, and there are some interesting ones, there are some boring ones, but all in all, there's a lot to look for when you're looking for politicians in video games. So that is the speed run for tonight. Talked about a lot. Talked about brand new consoles coming to your doorsteps this week. We talked about politics in video games, or politicians in video games. We did not talk about politics in video games. I don't have enough time on this podcast to do that. But I do want to, before we go for this week, I do want to update you on my Extra Life campaign this Saturday. So if you're listening on the radio, I am doing it right now. As you listen to this, I am doing a 24-hour video game marathon for Extra Life, which is a charity that helps the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. The hospital I have chosen is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, right here right off of 76 there on Penn's campus. And I will be raising money between now and the end of the year, basically. But this Saturday is the big day to earn for the charity. I have currently raised, as of right now, thanks to a bit of a surge in the late day today here, this Thursday, $1,075 for the kids at CHOP, which is a great number. Very, very proud of it. But my goal is $1,226. $1,226. So I am about, $170. No, I don't know. My math is really bad right now. I apologize. $150 away. It looks like $149 away from my goal, almost there. Look, I really want to hit that goal before Saturday. I'm hoping that if you're listening to this and I'm playing, that we're talking about not the goal, we're talking about more than the goal. But if I hit that goal, I will be playing Resident Evil 7 in VR for at least an hour to spook the hell out of myself and entertain the people on my Twitch stream who want to watch it. Twitch.tv/JFan, FAN64. You can watch me do that and scare the absolute bejesus out of myself for the kids. Very much looking forward to that. But I'm at 1075 right now. I will post the information I will post the link in the information of this podcast if you would like to contribute to the charity. I would very much appreciate it. If not, you don't have to. Obviously, it is completely voluntary. But it would go to a great cause, and I don't see any of that money whatsoever. It goes straight to the charity, who then gives it to CHOP, and it never touches my hands. I never have any say in it at all. So thank you in advance for your support, and thank you for listening to the 21st episode 21 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast. Next week will be the first week post new console, and we can talk about all the things that happened with that. It's a good time to be a gamer. Brand new consoles is always an interesting, exciting time, and it just means with the next generation of video games are here, and we are ready for it. For Fox PHL The Gambler, 102.5 FM, 1480 AM, and iHeartRadio, I am Esports and Gaming Insider Jason Fanelli, and this was episode 21 of the Cheesesteaks and Controllers podcast. Next up, Liberty Line. We'll be talking to you about all things Philly sports, Eagles, Union, and such. Probably talk about the Eagles COVID case that came up on Thursday. Thank God it's the bye week. Hopefully he can quarantine himself before he does any more damage. But with that, I am signing off for the week. Until next time, hope you all have a great week. See you on the other side. Bye-bye.